Hello, and welcome along to the stream today. I wasn't necessarily planning on going to do the stream today because I'm just back from London. I had a trip to London to go to ChefConf in London, and I thought I wasn't sure if I was going to do it, but I thought I will do it. So, hello Maurice in the chat room. Thank you for joining again. The plan for today was to try and get a cake build up and running for what we have now, which is this website. So for those of you following along, what we now have is a out-of-the-box ASP.NET MVC template website. It has been modified so that it now authenticates via GitHub. So I can click in here and I'm already signed in with my GitHub account. So I'm now in as bill@bill.com because I just created that email address. And what we've also got is this concept of a subscription section that is only accessible when you're logged in. So right now I'm logged in as Bill. This subscription section became active. If I log out, that's going to go away. And if I try and get back into there directly, I'll be redirected to the login page. So all of that seems to be working the way we want it to. So at the tail end of, where are we? Monday night's stream, what we ended up doing is we enabled StyleCop. So we added StyleCop, the Roslyn StyleCop analyzers into the build process. And we did that by adding the this StyleCop analyzers package reference here. And in order to make that work, we had to add in this rule set file, which decides which rules we are enabling, which ones we're disabling, and which ones cause error, warning, that sort of thing. The other thing that we did was we enabled, or we added this stylecop.json file, which has some top-level configuration for StyleCop, and that's one thing that we need to look at, because at the minute, none of the CS proj file, or none of the CS files have the company header, the copyright header on them, and that's not failing the StyleCop build. So we need to figure out what's doing there. And the other the other thing that we did was we enabled this treat warnings as errors. So at the end of Monday night session, when I ran the build, I had lots of errors. But now, if I run the build, if I go here and do a .NET build, what we've now got is no errors. So I've been through and I have fixed all of the StyleCop errors that were showing up. So those were along the lines of using statements not sorted alphabetically, white space in some of the files, general formatting rules. So all of those things, thank you very much for the cheer, Maurice. All of those things have been fixed now. So now the build is back to where it was before, but with the idea behind StyleCop is we've now got a slightly more maintainable and shareable code base because we're all adopting to the same standards. So that's where we are. So what I want to do now is I want to be able to run a build. So right now I'm doing .NET build, and that's fine. But ultimately, this website is going to be published somewhere. We might want to run some additional stack analyses like InspectCode and DupFinder. We might want to run some unit tests. So all of these things kind of need some sort of orchestration process on top of those. So most people who know me know that I am part of the Cake build team. So my default would be to add a cake build into this process. So that's what I'm going to try and do this lunchtime. I'm going to try and add in a cake build to do the standard processes that we want. Now, where I'm going to start with that is hello, Kim. Welcome to the chat room. I see that Arthur is in the chat room as well. Hello to you too. So where I want to start with that is I've sort of broken my own convention a little bit because normally I have all of the source code in a source folder or an SRC file, so folder rather. So I've kind of broken my own rules there. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to create a new folder here called source And into there, I'm going to pull in pretty much everything. So I'm going to leave the .vs code and the .git outside of there, but I'm going to put this into here, and then the views, this, I'm going to put into here. Those things I'm going to leave. That appdb file we don't actually need at all, so I'm going to delete that. The app settings, csproj, rule sets, programming, that we can probably get rid of as well. And the style.json. Also, all of those things can go into the source folder as well. So that's just a little bit of housekeeping. That's me putting things into the right place, effectively. Okay, so having done that, I am going to check in that 182 files. So this is more of a maintenance commit, so I'm just going to say maint move everything to source folder. Okay, and if we go ahead and do that, and we come back over here and we cd into the source folder and then run .NET Build again, then hopefully nothing should have changed. We should still have a working build, he says. There we go. We do. Okay. So what I want to be able to do is I, at the top level, want to be able to run a Cake build to do the same process. So rather than me having to run .NET Build and then other things that go with it, I just want to run build, right? So to do that, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and make use of this thing that some of you may have heard of, Cake.Recipe. Now, Cake.Recipe was there's a question. Don't you usually have a subfolder in the source folder with the name of the project as well? Yes, I probably normally do that. That's probably a very good point. Yeah, let's have a quick scan. I'm fairly sure that I do exactly that. So if I go into organizations, CakeConsrib, then as an example, Cake.coveralls. That's actually not one of mine. Let's go to, or is it Cake.coveralls? I forget. Cake.getter definitely is. So I would have source, and then I would have a solution with the getter folder. Look at that. Yes, I do. Okay, so let's do that then. Let's restructure this again. Let's go back over here. So we've got source, and then we're going to have one here, another new folder called devgep site, right? And then into there, we'll put all of this stuff again. So this will then mean that we can have other projects in this folder too. So let's do... Now, some of these might come up as shared assets then between the projects, but we'll worry about that part later. We'll worry about that later. So let's put all of this into here and restructure that again. So 180. Oh, okay, so there's 2 deleted files. Right, so this I mean is commit again. Move everything to project folder. Okay. Lucky you have your own CIC. I do, yeah. Okay, so where I'm going to go with this, I'm still open at that level, so that's fine. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to try and use this thing that I've called Cake.Recipe. So Cake.Recipe is typically used when you create an add-in for Cake. So it's kind of built from the ground up to do all of the things that are required when you're publishing an add-in. But it can be cajoled into doing other stuff. So what I don't know is whether it's going to work here. So I'm going to try it, right? So the first thing I'm going to go to do is I'm going to go up to my CI/CD assets plugin, which Maurice mentioned in the chat room here. And I'm going to say that I want to... I'm not actually going to use that one. I'm going to use the Cake.Recipe one. Oh, which I don't have installed. Oh, that's bad. Don't I have that one installed? Let's go here. Recipe. Oh, no, I don't look. Oh, no, I do. So why did that not show up? What's it called? Recipe? Oh, I saw it. Oh, Cake.Recipe. Right. So we want to add in a recipe.cake file. It's going to use a source folder. And then it is going to enter the name of the organization. See, this is where it might start to fall apart. Don't really have that stuff because it's in a private repo on Azure DevOps. So this may or may not work. But let's pretend that we are in OSS devgep site. Devgep site. And let's... Did I do that wrong? I think I might have done that wrong. I didn't actually read what it told me to do there. So I want a Cake.Recipe, want source, enter the name of the owner or organization. So yeah, let's just pretend that it's going to be in there. And then the name of repository is going to be devgep site. Let's just pretend that that's the case. So what we end up with is some stuff. So Cake.Recipe out of the box is going to try and do some stuff for us along the lines of these things, which we don't necessarily want or need, but we'll leave them in. And then it's looking for source devgep site tests and source devgep site. Okay. Let's just see what it does, shall we? Let's see how badly it breaks. So now that we've got that, we should be able to do this. Oh no, okay, I don't have my bootstrappers. Okay. So now that I have those, I need my bootstrappers for Cake. So if I go up to my Cake plugin and say install a bootstrapper, I'm going to install the PowerShell one, which is going to give me this. And I'm going to need to modify that to say recipe.cake rather than build.cake. And then for completeness, I'm going to install the bash bootstrapper as well. Yeah, so I've seen a comment there from Kim. I had the same thought. I don't yet have a solution either. So that had occurred to me, and that's why I wondered how badly this is going to break. So now that I've got the bootstrappers in, let's see where we get to with the build. And see what happens. Oh, look at that. See, Kim knows all the .NET command line commands. I would have opened up Visual Studio and created a solution file that way. There is a solution for that, indeed. Okay, so what is this? Where's this getting to? Solution parser result does not define a definition for. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I am doing exactly that. Kim gets a prize. Yes, because Cake.Recipe is pinned to 32.1 just now. But because there wasn't a packages.config file, it has pulled down the latest version. So by pinning there, we should get further. If I could give you a prize, Kim, I would. But I can't. In fact, hold on. Let me go over here. And let's put it in here. And let's do that. Virtual internet points for Kim. There we go. So what we're saying now is project file does not exist. Yep, so we don't have a devgep site solution. So that's what Kim suggested as well. So the suggestion was if I go into the source folder and run .NET new sln -n devgep site. What does that do? Template solution file was created successfully. Okay, let's go over here and see what that did. So that created this file. Okay. But now I'm going to need to add the projects to that file, correct? So what's the command line for doing that? Then you can do .NET. Oh, look at that. So easy. Let's do this then. .NET solution add devgep site. But that's in a folder. So let's see what that does. Ooh, look at that. It found all the projects. Okay, I like it. So now if we look at this, what do we have? Look, it's added in project devgep site. So clever. I'm liking that. So now, if I go back up here and I run the build again, what happens? What happens now? Dun, dun, dun. That orange text can be ignored. That's a known issue with Cake.Recipe. But we get to .NET Core Restore, and it completed. Now it's running the build, which we should see some output from StyleCop saying 0 errors. Now it's running DupFinder, which is one of the things that Cake.Recipe adds into the mix automatically. So it'll currently be downloading the JetBrains command line tools, and then it'll run them. So we added in StyleCop directly to the build by adding it on the project level. DupFinder works kind of a higher level. It's just a command line tool outside of the build. You don't need to add anything to the build CSproj files to make it work. So let's see if that comes up with anything. And then after that, it found some stuff. Right. So we're going to have to fix some stuff maybe. Okay. Duplicates were found. So what it did there, let's do this, or what it's trying to do now, is that Cake.Recipe added a report file, and that report file is the errors that were found as a result of running DupFinder, and then it spawned a new process which was to open an internet browser with the generated report to see if we can then fix some stuff. Okay, so what it's telling us here is that on the personal data CSHTML file and the reset authenticator CSHTML file, there is some duplicated code, and the lines that it's picked up on is on get, the code is exactly the same. So there's some duplication. So what it's suggesting is that we refactor that into either a common method or remove the files that are duplicated. Orange looked yellow to me. What did I miss? What was orange and what was yellow? In the output? Oh, that you're talking about this yellow. That to me is yellow. Or build warnings. Did I say orange? Did I? If I did, I meant yellow. I don't know what to say. So we need to fix this. I maybe did, Kim. I'm a little bit tired, so I maybe did say orange. Let's agree that I did, and I'm going to correct myself and say that it's yellow. Okay, so there's a couple of things here. Some of these duplications are in files that we don't necessarily care about. Now, what I mean by that is myself and Matthias have kind of agreed. So if we go back here and do I'm going to have to add in a task for that, because at the minute what I'm going to have to do is go into here and go into devgep site, and then I'm going to say .NET run. I'm going to say .NET run. What myself and Matthias agreed was that in this site that we're creating, we don't necessarily want to have the concept of registration. We don't want the user to be able to register with the site, because we only want to, we as this service that we're creating, don't want the user to register. We want them to use an external authentication provider, i.e. GitHub. Now, some of those local login pages are the ones that are causing the duplicates, so we can delete them, right? Yes, that's the plan, Kim. Mainly because we don't want to have to deal with the additional overhead of securing those passwords, keeping everything in line, providing the reset logic, all that sort of stuff. If we can kind of hand that over to a well-respected OAuth provider, i.e. GitHub, then that makes it a little bit easier. Now, that may come back and bite us, but for now, we're saying that's only social. So, quick show of hands, Does that make sense? Would you be happy logging into a site that only provided a mechanism for social credentials? I mean, it's not that we. I mean, so that's Surly Dev there. So we're already authenticating over OAuth with GitHub. So it's using the GitHub OAuth provider to do the sign-in, the authentication part, and then based on a successful authentication with GitHub, we'll then authorize certain sections of the site. But what I'm saying is that this section on the left-hand side, I think we're pulling that from the site. See, I've heard people say that as well. So most of that is already handled by the identity provider, though. I usually don't use social sites for logging in elsewhere. I prefer to have a unique email address and password for each site that I use. Okay. You're making me rethink this now. But in some cases, I would be happy to use my GitHub credentials. Okay, so I mean, this is obviously, we don't know what this is. So for those of you that are new to the chat room, this thing that we're creating, it's kind of secret. We're not at a point where we're happy to announce what we're doing yet. What I can say is that there may well be a coupling to GitHub. So there will be an expectation that in order to use the service, you may need a GitHub account in order for certain things to light up. So would that change things, i.e. that you would be happy? So let me ask you this, Kim. For services like Mergify or Dependabot or another thing that runs in conjunction with GitHub, do you use a separate account or do you use your GitHub account? Let me see what the answer to that question is. Surly Dev saying, I've never used Facebook logging in anywhere and never will, even if I wanted to use the service. I think it makes sense in this case too. So Surly Dev, you're saying that having this on the left-hand side makes sense, or rather that you would expect there to be this in addition to authenticating with GitHub. That's true too. So yes, if you had two GitHub, you could use one for one thing and one for the other. Okay, so the reason that I'm saying all of this just now is I meant having GitHub authentication in this game, and I think it does too. So the reason that I'm bringing this up just now is that the output of this DupFinder is telling me that there are duplicates in the reset authenticator, change passwords pages. All of that would go away if I just delete those pages, because we're not going to use them, because we're not going to be able to reset the password, because we're not going to store a password. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to kill it with fire, as Maurice suggested. So let's have a look through the pages and see what we can get rid of. Let's have a look. Let's just start killing things. Let's close some of these things off. You will still be using those in the manage folder though. You will still be using those. I'm not clear on what you're saying there, Kim. So in the account manage folder, areas, account, manage, why will I still be using them? What does that mean? Because what I'm suggesting is, like, for instance, this change password, I'm just going to delete it because, well, we're not going to allow changing a password. So why do I still need those? What is that? Let me see what Kim comes back with there. But some of the pages is for editing user history, two-factor authenticate, and absolutely, I'm suggesting that maybe we get rid of some of those as well. Yes, okay, so The ones like, so if we go back to did I stop it? I'm envisioning, we go back to here, then once I log in with my GitHub account, then I go over to my here, then actually, they're maybe not lit up at the minute because I don't have the configuration set up for an SMS provider for two-factor authentication. So that's maybe why, or is it because I don't have a phone number put in? I wonder when those things light up. But so, yeah, some of the user profile things I think we need to leave. But things like changing the password, resetting password, that sort of things, I think we can get rid of. The manage page is missing a sidebar. Okay, so what does that mean? You're saying in here that there's something missing over here on the right-hand side? If we have a look at the top level, has external logins. Profile. Manage your account. What's in the index then? When you say it's missing something, have you seen it somewhere else? Or what makes you think that there's something missing? There's a username, there's an email, and then there's a... No. Have you got a screenshot of what you're seeing? With the default. Do you have a screenshot of that, Kim, that you could share? Or do you remember what was in the navigation? Okay, but anyway, no screenshot right now. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Okay, so where were we? So we're looking at some of the duplications. Let's try and fix the DupFinder output and see what happens. Let's start at the bottom. Delete personal data is the same as 42 and 54. So lines 42 and 54 of delete personal data. So delete lines 42 and 54. So this section here is the same as this section here. So that could be refactored then, yes. So that could be refactored into a private method that simply says, let's do a little bit of refactoring while we're here. Where's my... That's kind of annoying. Let's do this. Private. What do we need to return? This is a no definition. What did I break? What did I break there? Nothing. So confused. Oh, I probably broke my default task, which was here. I may need to tell it to go into a folder to make that work, so let's not worry about that just now. Close this. See, I haven't broken something. Can I build? I have broken something. That's a style cop error on delete personal data. Is that what I was? I was. Elements should have the same indentation on line 52. Oh, I put a space. Look at that. Let's fix that. Okay. Why can't I get a application user? That's not very helpful, is it? Let's close and open Visual Studio Code. User Manager. It really doesn't want to let me play with that. No definition. Oh, that's just annoying. And that's all fine, but it's the... Oh, hold on. No, now it lets me in. What was it called? Get user. So it's a task of T user, so it's an application user. Is what we're getting back. So let's try and fix this. So I said I was going to have a private get user, private application user, get user, and then it was going to do these things. So this will avoid the duplication because I can take this, put it into here. This is going to want to be async application user, blah blah blah, and then return user. What are you? Oh, this will need to be a task of user. Is that better? No, because that's still going to have some duplication. How best to fix this, do we think? Dun, dun, dun. I would still need to do the check. Let me have a proper look at what this is saying. So it's kind of already is. I'm tempted to say that that is not really duplicated code as such. What would we want to do there to... Oh, I don't know. I'm almost tempted to say ignore it. That's not really the best. That's not really the best approach either. And it's the same thing over and over again. It's get this section of get user async that's causing issues for all of them. So how best to work around that? Who owns this page? It's in metadata. I don't know. Does anyone have any suggestions on how to approach this? Well, I checked something. Hold on. Sorry, I thought I heard something, but I must have been hearing things. No, I don't. I thought I heard something, but it turns out it was nothing. So I'm tempted to say that DupFinder is incorrect in this approach, but I don't know. I'm not convinced by that. Because tell you what, let's see if there are any other problems first. So what we'll do here is we will bypass the DupFinder just to see if there are any other issues as well. First of all, let's skip over that part and see if the rest of the build works the way we want it to. If it does, it might speak to... Oh, what's Kim found? Look, Kim's gone off and done some stuff. Copy a clipboard. This one. There's 2 or 3 pictures here. Ooh, look at that. There's profile, password, authentication. Oh, wow. Okay, bye. Let's have a look here. Copy a clipboard. Let's see what's in this one. Change password. I wonder if it is looking for some additional configuration before it lights those things up. Manage your account and change your account settings. So that's kind of what I was... Change your account settings. So we have that, and that is part of the layout. And then it's rendering the body. So the partial looks like it's this manage nav. So where is that one? This is manage nav. And there is the one that's got profile, password, 2-factor authentication, which is what you have there. So why is that not getting populated? That's something we should look at. But I think we have another failure. Oh. Why did it still run DupFinder? Am I misremembering the name of the property? That would be unfortunate. github.com/cake-contrib cake.recipe. Let's put this in here. Should run DupFinder. Build parameters. Oh, did I say true? Yes, thank you, Maurice. I've just come to that conclusion as well. Dagnammit. Thank you. Virtual points for Maurice too. And given our plus. There we go. Let's run this again. Now, going back to this, Maurice is saying line 8 of this. Is this the line 8 that you're referring to? That would prevent so that would prevent the individual item being rendered. So this should render one called external login. So if we look at the screenshot, that there's no section here for external login. So that configuration hasn't been enabled. So that's why that one is hidden from there. But that doesn't explain why the other ones are not there. But I wonder if it's because it's like, that shouldn't make any difference either. But let's finish this thought process and we'll come back to that one. So it's now jumped over DupFinder, it's running InspectCode. So I want to see if InspectCode finishes, and then the latter part of what I'm hoping to see is what ends up in the build artifacts folder for the project once it gets built. So we go back up here, Azure DevOps, get website. What ends up in here once this finishes? Doing lots of stuff. Analyzing lots of stuff. And let's see what comes in here. It's got lots of stuff in there. Still running. So there was 3,074 issues, but none of them were error. So it didn't fail the build. It's quite a high number, but let's have a quick look and see what it came up with. Oh, they were errors. We may have to look at that. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's all bootstrap, so we could probably ignore a lot of those. We could ignore all the ones that are bootstrap, because that's just a distribution. We don't own any of that. And we're not going to change any of that. But there are some... Yeah, so all the errors... Why did that not... I'll have to come back to that. So all of those ones that are errors, we don't care about. These warnings are something to look at, maybe. Auto property accessors never used. Lots of things to look at. Right, we'll come different day as well. Anyway, so now, what did we get out? What did it do after that? It ran .NET Core test. There weren't any tests. It attempted to run a package, but there was no package to create because there's no new spec file, and we didn't specify to run .NET Core pack. So what it did instead was it published it as a library. Okay, so that's a problem, because this is not really a library. It's a website. So we'll have to look in to see what's going on with Cake.Recipe and understanding what kind of application it is and knowing how to publish it. Because as of right now, this is not everything that we should have. Maurice is asking, can't you pick up some things from the Cake website? No. The Cake website is a static website in its entirety. It's driven by YAM, so it's not an ASP.NET site. So, no, is the answer. So a couple of things we need to look at. I should write some of these things down while I remember. Where's a pen? So, things that we need to look into are DupFinder errors, lots of InspectCode warnings and errors. Published site doesn't contain what is expected. Manage user profile missing URL. You could switch to Uppercut and use steps from the Chocolatey website. So we could do that, Maurice. I'm not gonna. I have reasons for that. The Chocolatey website is an ASP.NET MVC full fat framework application. This is an ASP.NET. This is an ASP.NET MVC core project. So I don't think that would help us out of the box. But I'm explaining why I am. Oh, so this is back to 2017. Oh my goodness. What's this saying? I see we have a create NuGet packages task and a create chocolate packages task. I'm thinking there should be a create web package task. It should detect it as a web project, build the web project, perform any web.config transforms, zip up the project and upload the artifacts if applicable. I certainly would have no objections. No objections. Assuming it doesn't impact any of the existing functionality. To date, the functionality that exists in Cake.Recipe has been directly associated with the types of the build that I use. Just throwing my thoughts out here. Considering what would be needed to support how to support MVC, this could be something that would be better suited for a separate recipe. Oh, we see. He's a man of logic. While it probably would be possible to support MVC projects in Cake.Recipe, it may cause it to be very bloated depending on which features will be added for what. In my honest opinion, it would be better to have a different add-in specifically targeting web projects, not just MVC, but web forms, ASP.NET Core, MVC, and web pages. So I don't disagree with any of that. I don't disagree with any of that. I am curious about one thing though. What happens if I do devgep site? So where are we? We're here. What happens if I do a .NET publish here? There is an output folder. Let's do this to see temp devgep site. What does that give me? I'm just curious about what that .NET publish actually puts out. See, it does have it. That's what I expected. Oops. So that is essentially the entire site, including the www root folder, yada yada yada. So what I'm curious on is why the Cake.Recipe build artifact only had this in it. But not the views. Did it not have the views? Oh, it doesn't. Oh, there is a views.dll there. So I wonder if it's put them in there. So it looks like it. I mean, there'd be a way of testing that, right? So if I were to go to cdc temp cd devgep set and then do .NET run. Do I need to give the DLL? .NET run devgep site DLL? What am I trying to do here? Oh no, it's just .NET, isn't it? That's what I need to do. Yeah. So now if I go back to here, let's go back. There we go. So yeah, the .NET publish there, the .NET publish that I did manually worked. So I am curious as to why Cake.Recipe, the output from Cake.Recipe didn't have, because for .NET Core project, it is a .NET publish that's being exercised, or it should be. So the question that I have in my head is why the output doesn't include that. Maybe. I can't type. Publish. This is the one I want. If the parse project is a library, using the target, otherwise just copy. .NET Core publish, else copy files from the output. So that is, if it's 2017, run .NET Core publish, else just copy the files. But what is... No. Oh, it's not a pub. Oh, it's not. Hold on. If it's not a library, do that. So if it is a library, what do we do? If it is a library, oh, we're just copying files. Dagnabbit. Oh, that's just bad planning, isn't it? That's just bad planning. Okay. But I think I agree overall with what Kim suggested in that issue, which was it may make sense to have a separate recipe. I don't necessarily want to do all of that work just now. I may just get what I need running and then use the basis of what is created for this one to lead into the new recipe. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay. I haven't got done what I wanted to get done today, but I think we did okay. So I have some notes here of things I need to do. I'll be back in one sec. And that time it was. Okay, so I have a list of things I want to do. All right, I know I need to fix. So we need to fix DupFinder. We need to look at InspectCode. And we need to figure out... Well, I'm going to have a quick look at that. So where was that? So even on this running one, if I log in, and I look at this, I don't see that. Is it smart enough, do we think, to know that it's because it's a GitHub authenticated user that those things don't show up? I wonder. Let's have a quick look at this. Developer tools. Kim's saying no. It's not smart enough to know that. So profile. So it's not even rendering it. There is nothing there. I wonder if it was just hidden for some reason. But it seems like the things are there. So Kim's saying, I actually tested with scaffolding the files into the website and logged in local. After that, it won't show. Okay, so let me clarify what you're saying there. You're saying that if you used the default identity without scaffolding, you saw that output, but as soon as you scaffolded the files out, it no longer showed it. Is that what you're saying? Interesting. Change your account settings. Manage nav. And we saw last time that was exactly how the partials should be rendering. So that to me is this thing here. So manage nav should get rendered into this thing called column 39. But it's not doing that at all. Picking the correct layout files or partials. I think I would agree with you. But then if we look at the index here, title, username, email. Oh, look at that. Hold on. The index isn't using the layout. So this is username, email, and phone number. So username, email, and phone number. It's this CSHTML that's being used here. It's not the combination of this. So am I making that up? Change your... Oh no, it's only got that once. Ah, that's what it is. Yeah, look at the page. So on the page that Kim had, which was this one, it was change your account settings profile. But this page is never, this layout.cshtml is never being used. Yeah, it's not being combined. The two things aren't being combined together. So we'll need to look into why this layout.cshtml is not being used within the overall architecture, because then it's broken. So this is an issue with the scaffolder. We need to look at that. Yeah. So I've added that to my list. Okay, because this one's the profile, then there's the password, and all that sort of stuff. So we need to, I need to see these pages in order to know which one of those we want to continue using. Okay, but I think for now that is all I wanted to do. There is some additional stuff I need to investigate. I need to decide what we're doing with Cake.Recipe. But for now, I think I might just look at breaking that Cake.Recipe into a separate recipe, but just doing it on a one single project basis at the minute. Use that as a catalyst for creating the recipe and just get it working the way I want it to work for this project, and then building from there. Check if there is a view start CSHTML file in the manage folder. Okay, hold on. Kim thinks he's on to something. So you want me to check in the manage folder if there is a view start _view. There's a view imports, but there's not a view starts, no. So that was in the manage folder. Or the account folder. No. There's not. There's a view start at the pages, which is views shared. So you think I need to take one? You think I need to create one of those in the account manage folder? So if I go into here and create a new file called view start.cshtml, let's give it a bottle, shall we? What's the worst that could happen? Let's grab this and let's put this in here, and then this is going to be layout.cshtml. What's the worst that could happen? C Azure DevOps, devgep site, source, devgep site, .NET run. Let's have a look. What's the worst that could happen? Who knows? Who knows? I haven't seen that before. Okay. Back to here, back to here, back to here. Close you a second. Log in. GitHub. Dun dun dun. Boom. The view, the layout view, layouts HTML could not be located. Oh, do I need to qualify what it was? So this one was views shared. Do I need to go all the way down? Full path, yes. So that one was views. So this one would need to be areas. Oh, it's right there. Areas, identity, pages, pages, account. No, yes, manage / let's try that. I didn't do a watch, so let's close it. Or it could be, okay. But now that we've fully qualified it, it should work the same as well, right? Let's do this. No. The layout could not be located. Did I do that right? Areas. Identity. No, there wasn't one there. That's why I didn't put that on. But it was areas, identity, pages, account, manage, layout. Areas, identity. Let's go to that bottle. Where is it? There it is. And then I'm going to go. I've got other things to do. Let's do this. No. Because the following locations were searched. Areas, identity, pages. Areas, identity. Why is it only going... Areas, identity. Why is it not going down into account? From one new edit. The layout view. But from the other layout file. So from within here. Oh, look at that. Oh. Hold on. Check this out. I think you're right, Kim. And then refresh this. The following sections have been found but have not been rendered by the page. Scripts. To ignore an unrendered section, call ignore section name. The following sections have been... Oh, because the layout will be wanting something that has this section. We don't have that. Because it's not given by the pages. So manage nav doesn't have a script section. You know what? Let's just test it out. Let's just do this. This is pure guesswork at this point. Back to here. Dun, dun, dun. The following sections have been defined but not rendered. I thought I just told it to not have that. Could be that you shouldn't have removed the layout but rather fixed the path. Okay. So areas, identity, pages. Area, identity, pages. So you want this to be account / manage / yes. Let's try this. Refresh. A circular layout reference was detected. Yes. So I don't understand what I'm trying to fix then. Or rather, that I don't need the view start anymore. I'm trying everything now. No. Because that's now referencing itself, which is not going to work. Right, you know what? I need to come back to this because I need to go do some work. So let's put that back the way it was. Okay, so we've got things to look into, is where we're going to get to. And, okay, hold on. To the main layout file in the project. What am I doing then? Hold it. So you're saying in views, shared, this one. What am I adding here? What do you want me to add here? Reference that one. Reference that one from here. This one. Is what you're saying. So that would be in the layout. Okay, fine. This is the last thing that we're trying, right? So this is going to be views, areas, views, shared, layout. Oh my goodness, this is going to work. Dun, dun, dun. No. We'll come back to it. So the other thing was style cop headers. Style cop file headers. Okay, so for now, we haven't really made any progress today. We started down the route of trying to do a build.cake file with Cake.Recipe. That's not going to work. But we'll have to build out a cake script to do specifically the tasks and then kind of build on from there what we're doing. So we can look into that another day. And we haven't really progressed with the site itself other than identifying that there's at least one error that we need to fix, and we can look into that. But yeah, not a wholly wasted lunchtime, but we'll learn some new things. Thanks for coming along. Next stream should be Monday. No reason that there shouldn't be there. Maurice asked on Twitter about whether the talk that I gave on yesterday was recorded. I believe it was recorded. As to when it's going to be available, I don't know, but keep an eye out on Twitter because I'll probably tweet when that's available for your viewing pleasure. Talk seemed to go quite well. It was based on Chocolatey and Chef, using Chocolatey and Chef at the same time, so it seemed to be well received. Lots of questions about that. If that's something that's of interest, like I say, keep an eye out on Twitter, and I will share that when it's available. The slides are up on GitHub if you want to take a look at those. But for now, I am going to say farewell. So I will speak to you all hopefully on Monday. Thank you for joining me. Talk to you later.